So between reading a book on the Omnissiah and listening to many creators talk about the duplication issue that has been demonetizing channels, one of which I mentioned last week being cognitive thought, I thought I would divert from that and focus my attention on something less irritating and more fascinating. So for this, we're going to go all the way to France. I know, Quittersville, White Flag Opia. Opia? Doesn't matter. When I look out of my bedroom window, I can see France, and all I see are white flags. It must be a national thing. Now in France there is a rapper called Nick Conrad, and he wrote a song called Pendez les Blancs, or in English, Hang Whites. The video was for a while on YouTube, and it did go somewhat viral, and this was because the message he passed off within the song had quite a polarizing impact, where he talked about white people catching them and hanging their parents. This, to many people, would be an indicator of racism. Now, I'm not entirely sure how it is perceived in France as far as racism goes, but one can surmise that even though people are undoubtedly outraged by this will inevitably be swept under the rug, and he will probably get an award for his accomplishments. Now, I am going to play a short clip from the song because it did get pulled from YouTube for hate speech, but I'm not going to play all of it, just the part that really matters.
Non gros, t'inquiète. Cette fois c'est bon, c'est cool. On va le faire ensemble. Je vais te prendre un peu de plaisir.
Whitey, pendez-les tous, pendez-les blancs.
On va abréger tes souffrances, ok? Pose ta bouche sur le trottoir. Là, maintenant, tout de suite. Vite.
Can you tell how talented he is from that? That's Grammy award-winning lyrical content. It's up there with some of the songs that I've heard of current year, where the, quotes, singer is merely reciting the same sentence over and over again for 3 to 5 minutes, to a semi-upbeat tune. When I was a kid, my parents would often tell me that my music sucked, even though I liked the same music they like. Little did I know that, in fact, they were absolutely correct, and music has utterly fallen apart. If it's not about the supposedly empowered feminists singing about their boyfriends and how they're going to fuck them, it's going to be retards singing the same word over and over again. It's irritating. And I'm not going to say that my generation and generations before didn't have cringe artists, it's just, thankfully we forgot them, for the most part. It's Chico time, everyone. Now, to give some of this music a bit of context, the singer in one of the scenes, the rapper, lol, and an associate drag a white victim along the pavement and kick them in the head. This is a callback to a famous scene from the film American History X, in which a neo-Nazi stamps on the head of a black man as he lies face down on the pavement. A gun is also forced down the guy's throat and he's ordered to suck it, but we'll try and forget that, shall we? Now, I get the idea. I get the idea of wanting to reverse the roles, which you do in fact say when you defend your song. You talk about how you're trying to show white people what it's like to be a black person in a predominantly white country, reversing the power structures as it were, or how you perceive them to be, forgetting that if you're going to use ancient history, which is what I'm calling this, you're going to use ancient history against current year remarkably liberal democracies. Your legs to stand on appear to be made of jelly. The foundation is weak. I'm not denying there aren't some areas of racism that still exist, and with context, is what you've done racist? Yeah, it still is. Possibly. It's certainly on the very boundaries of
edgy boil out. Sharps inside. Be careful you don't cut yourself and all that fucking edge.
Edgy, I'll agree. But if you're going to make a message, and regardless of how passionate you are about it, do you really think it's wise to make a song and aim it solely at white people? If you want to take a shot at people because of how black people are treated in France, do you really want to draw on history from America? No. You want to draw on history from France. And I'm sure you didn't intend for the song to be as successful as it was, but you're always going to get some attention with the most clickbaity title possible, in hang whites. To then solely attack them, that's the racist element. With context, it's not quite as, just rife with inaccuracy, really. You don't tackle a national issue if there is a supposedly national racist issue by addressing it globally, pulling sources from other countries and other cultures. You address it in your own country. Yeah. Now, there has been some fallout from this. Most notably, the video was actually pulled from YouTube for violating its terms on hate speech. To be honest, that does not surprise me. I don't support it, mostly because I think he needs the money to buy better trousers, but also because I think his idea should be addressed on its own. And if he wants to promote an EP that supposedly tells a story, which I haven't heard yet, I did look at iTunes, along with a few other outlets, but his new music isn't actually there yet, so I was unable to purchase it to listen to it. Yeah, I'd buy it just to listen to it, so I could tell you what I thought of the story he is claiming he is telling. We know this because that's how he defended this. Hang whites. Oh dear. Reverse those power structures. Make the systemic racism reverse systemic racism. It's just racism. Additional fallout from this has included a number of ministers in France calling for an investigation into this, which doesn't surprise me either, because you are riling a very, very divided country. Let's not forget here that Marine Le Pen almost won the election, and she's called this anti-white racism. Other people would include Benjamin Griveaux, who has condemned the, quote, hateful, nauseating lyrics in the strongest possible terms. I think it just shows you just how far music has fallen. Another anti-racism group called Lycra, or Lycra? Lycra? I thought Lycra was a type of clothing but with a Y, not an I. They have since filed a formal police complaint, stating this racist call for murder is abject and unbelievably violent. Now, the prosecutor's investigation into this is based on a part of the 1881 law on freedom of the press that concerns incitement to murder and to hatred based on race or religion, which is being taken from a judicial source. Now, I'm not convinced this falls into the bracket of freedom of the press. It's certainly one hell of a stretch to take a, quote, musical artist and to pigeonhole them with press, as in journalists. But it will be certainly very interesting to see how that develops over time. There was one other thing that happened because of this, and that is a petition, for example, was created to get Nick Conrad sacked. What the problem with this is that it's the wrong person. There is a Nick Conrad that works for the BBC. Yeah, for BBC Radio Norfolk. So, not only do they work on an antiquated system, but they're also 25 years behind the rest of the world. Norfolk is quite prehistoric, to be honest. Now, the petition got 1,100 signatures and was closed, I assume, because they realised they got the wrong person, with many people commenting how they wouldn't do this, but the shit has got to the end, and I increasingly believe for that to happen, men need to play a massive part in supporting women and calling out the dickheads. Well, it's nice to see you misunderstood this. It even went so far as to have Nick Conrad, the broadcaster, dissecting death threats he got with translation services, to then tweet them out because of it. I feel sorry for Nick Conrad, the broadcaster. I do not feel sorry for Nick Conrad, the rapper, quotes, rapper, having listened to your song, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dearie me. It is quite poor. I'm starting to understand why you're not so well known. But this song will undoubtedly propel you into the charts once you do the remaining songs on your EP, which I am so looking forward to. Being a metalhead, I am so looking forward to listening to you rap, almost as much as I loved listening to Rob Flynn rap. Insert sarcasm here. In summary, Nick Conrad the rapper wrote a song. The song sucked. He pulled on global history to make a global point, to make a national point. It failed. It pissed a lot of people off, and now there are consequences. I wish you the very best in whatever happens next to you, Mr. Conrad, the broadcaster, not the rapper. So I hope everyone has a lovely Sunday, and thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddowns.
In your arse.
Imagine my shock